So season 1 just dropped, and as we know, Subtlety had some changes from the recent patch. And let's go through really quickly the changes that happened. I believe everyone just know, but if you guys don't know, we're gonna go through real quickly. So backstab was increased by 20%, shadow strike was increased by 15%, eviscerate was increased by 8%, our melee attacks were increased by 15%, and as you can see, our single target was everything was increased, so it's very good. And black powder was the only problem, which was reduced by 12%, and the potted powder bonus, the black powder damage, was reduced to 20% of our total mastery instead of 30. The Trickster had a little small buff on the unseen blade that was increased by 20%. The Nimble Fury had a little nerf, which was reduced to 50% of the listed attack damage instead of 65%, and on the Cleaver Combatant crit bonus for the Shuriken Storm was reduced to 10% instead of 15%. So these are the changes that happened, and we are gonna go through really quickly what changes on the rotation and everything, if anything changes. So let's dive right into it. So as we can see right now on the screen, DeathStalker has a really good initial burst, but the damage drop off happens really quickly. The rotation didn't change anything from the last guide that I did. What really changed was basically the damage. The black powder nerf has a really impactful change here on the overall damage. I wasn't thinking that this was going to be this much of an impact. Because 12% doesn't sound much, but as we can see, it's a lot. Yeah, that's basically the change that happened with DeathStalker. The damage drop off happens really fast right now, and there's not much that you can do to recover it. Basically, the only thing that you can do is if you have the full burst again with 2 Shadow Dance and Blades and Secret Technique. That's the only thing that's gonna give your burst. At least on DeathStalker, it's the only thing that's gonna give your burst a little burst again. And you're gonna see the meter going up a little bit, because as we can see on the end right now, I'm already going to the 80s, and I'm not even gonna use the blades because I don't have the blades. But as you can see, the damage is already going up. But we need basically the bursts to see the damage going up, and we could even put the damage better if we had used the blades, but we didn't use the blades, so it's okay. But as we can see, the damage was basically on the 96k on 8 million damage, and we're gonna go through the Trickster right now. So for the Trickster, the rotation is basically the same as it is on DeathStalker. The only thing that changed is when we have, as we can see, the 4 Scaling Blades procs. We want to spend it on a Eviscerate that's gonna turn into the Cup of Grace. That's the only thing that changed from the rotation itself. On the DeathStalker, when we have the Darkest Night, we basically use the Eviscerate, and here the only thing that changes is we're gonna use Eviscerate when we have the Cup of Grace, and that happens when we have 4 stacks of Scaling Blades. So as we can see, at least on Trickster, the damage drop off doesn't happen that much. Because we have the Cleaver Combatant crit that help us a little bit with the Shuriken Storm, that help us a little bit with the damage sustain. So as we can see on the screen right now, Trickster is actually better than DeathStalker. So I would recommend you all to change from the last guide that I did. And if you guys are using the DeathStalker build, I would recommend you to use Trickster build, and we're gonna see the build on a second right now. But as we can see on the screen, the Trickster has much more damage sustain, and we ended up on 105k DPS on 99.5 million total damage. So yeah, we can use the Trickster for this initial of the season. We can see if any changes happen. We can see if DeathStalker goes to the top or not. But at the current state, Subtlety, it's gonna be played better in Trickster in all situations, even on a single target. And of course, the single target rotation didn't change nothing as well, so you guys don't need to worry about the rotations. I'm just showing because of the damage profiles. And yeah, that's basically it. So you're gonna go through the talents right now and see the talents that I'm using. For the talents, these are the talents that I'm using for the Trickster right now, and that's what I would recommend you to use. I tried to use the lethality and the cold-blooded killer, but this doesn't actually, it's not really impactful as much as it is the supercharge and everything. So I would recommend you to use this build, and if you want the single target build, it's gonna be this one right over here. And we actually changed this part over here to have the cold-blooded killer and the lethality, at least on the single target, because it's gonna be much better if we have that instead of the Subtlety. So yeah, that's basically it for the talents. And for the stats, of course, for the stats, it changed a lot from AoE to single target, because single target we want at least 18% of haste, and for the AoE we want at least, I believe it's around 10 to 12% if I'm not mistaken. For the stats, that's basically it. We can go through the best gear right now. So for the best gear we can go actually to the Wowhead website, and it's gonna be on the link description down below, of course, don't need to worry. And you guys basically want to check which is the best gear that you can have and where you guys can basically obtain it. So as we can see on the screen, the heads that I need, it's of course a tier piece, and here we can see where we can get the pieces that we need, and this is the best item that we can get. So this is gonna be on the description down below, of course, and you guys don't need to worry. And another website that I would recommend you guys using, it's the RaidBots. This website over here, it's very good to do sims and see which gear it's the better or not. You guys will need this add-on over here, which is the simulation craft. You just need to click this here, copy, and best gear. Just need to click and choose which gear that you want to sim, and of course you guys cannot pass this part over here, it won't work. Find top gear, and oh, I forgot one of the most important parts. Of course, after you did that, you want to click how much bosses that you want. If you want single target, you want to choose single targets. This is basically for the myth bosses, and if you want like 40 seconds for one pull of a mythic dungeon, you can basically do like this, find gear, and it will find the gear that it's best for you. Alright guys, another thing that is very important is the macros. Some macro that I want you guys to have, at least for Subtlety. The only macro that I use, it's this one that it's on the screen right now. When I press T, it's when I press my burst, and it basically has my trinket, my shadow dance, my shadow blades, and my potion, which basically it's the tempered potion, the new tempered potions. So that's the macro that you want to use, and you want to have this macro and put it on the button that you basically press the shadow dance, and that's it for the macro. So that's basically it for the guide today. I hope this guide helped you in any form possible and that you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. My name is Mujgate, and I see you on the next video.